Today, we're diving into how blockchain is shaking up the energy sector, making it cheaper, cleaner, and more democratic. We'll break down the big advantages and spotlight some real-world projects. But before we dive in, did you know that only 40% of you are following us across our socials? If you like the show, hit that follow button and collect our episodes on pods.media. Your support means a lot. Now let's talk about the seismic shifts happening in the energy world. For decades, right, our electricity came from these massive centralized power plants.
Right, the old model.
Exactly, but that's rapidly changing. We're witnessing this, dramatic decentralization. Think thousands of individual homes with rooftop solar, community wind farms, even battery storage units, all generating and feeding power into the grid. The real challenge here is managing this incredibly complex dynamic web of supply and demand, like in real time, with so many independent actors. It's a complete re-architecture of how energy moves.
And that re-architecture is precisely where blockchain steps in. It's not just a solution, it's really becoming a foundational layer for this new energy landscape. Its core identity, as a decentralized and secure ledger, makes it uniquely seated. It enables direct energy trading between what we call prosumers.
Prosumers, right. Producer-consumers.
Exactly. Those who both produce and consume energy. It automates these exchanges with smart contracts, meaning agreements just execute automatically when conditions are met.
Automatically, okay.
And critically, every single kilowatt hour traded is recorded immutably, meaning it cannot be altered or deleted once it's recorded.
Right. Immutable, tamper-proof.
Precisely. Ensuring a transparent, tamper-proof record that builds trust in a system that's frankly, crying out for it.
That vision of decentralization sounds incredibly compelling. Where do you think people will first, feel the impact of this shift? Is it primarily about shaving costs, or is there maybe a deeper systemic change at play?
Well, it's both, definitely both. But the cost reduction is often the most tangible initial benefit. Traditionally, energy trading involves a multitude of intermediaries.
Yeah, the utilities, brokers.
Right, the big utilities, various brokers, clearinghouses. Each of these layers adds fees and introduces delays, making the process kind of bureaucratic and expensive.
Okay.
What blockchain does is fundamentally disrupt that multi-layered system. By enabling direct peer-to-peer trades, it cuts out those middlemen entirely.
Entirely? Wow.
Yeah, we're talking about transaction costs dropping by as much as 40%, but it's more than just a cheaper transaction. It's about fundamentally re-architecting who holds the power literally and financially.
Okay, that's a big point.
Yeah, this allows investment to shift from these billion-dollar centralized plants to, say, hyperlocal solar co-ops or community battery storage. It sort of democratizes not just energy production, but the capital that fuels it.
Right.
And that's a game changer for community resilience and, local economies.
Reducing transaction costs by 40% is certainly massive. And the speed component is just as crucial, isn't it? Instead of waiting days for payments and settlements to clear through all those parties, blockchain's smart contracts automate that process, slashing processing times down to minutes. But okay, does cutting out all those traditional layers introduce any new risks, like maybe an oversight or security, that need to be addressed?
That's a fair question, and it really highlights why blockchain's inherent security features are so critical.
Right.
The distributed nature of the ledger itself, plus the cryptographic security, mean that while you're removing human intermediaries, you're replacing them with an incorruptible, verifiable system.
Okay, so the tech provides the security.
Exactly. And this speed and security are essential for real-time grid management. A smart grid needs to dynamically balance supply and demand, like instantaneously.
Makes sense.
If a cloud passes over a solar farm or a sudden gust of wind spins up a turbine, the grid needs to react. Blockchain's automation helps these grids respond instantly, improving overkill efficiency by potentially up to 20%.
And this is where it really empowers you, the listener, the consumer. You can actively participate in what are called demand response programs. Imagine shifting your electricity usage to off-peak times, maybe running your dishwasher later at night when demand is lower and getting rewards for it, all managed seamlessly by the blockchain. It allows for a far more intelligent and responsive grid.
Which brings us to maybe the most foundational benefit, transparency and trust.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Every single transaction, every kilowatt hour traded is recorded immutably on the blockchain. And immutable, just to remind everyone, simply means it cannot be altered or deleted once it's there.
set in stone digitally.
Pretty much. Creating an unchangeable, verifiable public ledger that's auditable by all participants. This fosters incredible trust and significantly reduces the potential for fraud. It also helps streamline compliance with regulations because all the data is verifiable and, readily available.
That level of transparency is certainly powerful for combating fraud. But I wonder, in an increasingly privacy-conscious world, does having every kilowatt hour recorded on a public ledger raise any concerns for individuals or businesses about their consumption patterns being maybe too open?
That's an excellent point about privacy, yeah. And it's a key area of development, actually. The solution often lies in balancing that public transparency with private details.
How so?
Well, some implementations use privacy-preserving technologies, things like zero-knowledge proofs. Basically, you can verify a transaction happened without revealing all the underlying data.
Okay, so you prove it without showing everything.
Exactly. For instance, you can prove you own a certain amount of renewable energy credits without revealing the exact price you paid or even your identity in some cases. This balance is crucial for adoption.
Makes sense.
And on the green energy front, this immutability is transformative. Think about tracking renewable energy certificates, RECs, or carbon credits.
Yeah, that's a big one.
With blockchain, you can verify every single one, ensuring that green energy claims are genuinely trustworthy. No more double counting or questionable origins. You know exactly where your green energy comes from.
Building on that, the idea of energy democracy sounds quite, radical compared to how things have traditionally operated. What does that actually look like on the ground?
Yeah, energy democracy is truly about shifting power, both literally and figuratively, back to the people and communities.
Okay.
It means prosumers, those individuals with rooftop solar or maybe small wind turbines, can now sell their excess energy directly to their neighbors or local businesses.
Instead of just back to the big utility.
Right, rather than just selling it back to a large utility at whatever rate they set.
Gotcha.
This enables the creation of localized energy markets. It ensures that the money and the power generated stay within the community.
Keeping it local.
Exactly. And it's not just an economic shift, it also makes grids inherently more resilient to outages.
How so?
Well, think about it. If one large power plant goes down, it can cause widespread blackouts. But with thousands of smaller interconnected nodes, a problem in one area is far less likely to take down the entire system.
Distributed resilience.
Precisely. It builds a much more robust and adaptable energy infrastructure.
That's a compelling argument for resilience. So beyond these immediate operational benefits, how is blockchain changing the investment landscape for renewable energy?
Well, it opens up entirely new business models and financing opportunities. One key aspect is the tokenization of energy assets.
Tokenization. Like NFTs, but for energy.
Sort of, yeah. Imagine a solar farm or a batch of carbon credits being broken down into digital tokens that can be easily bought and traded.
Okay.
This democratizes investment, right? It allows even small investors to participate in large-scale renewable projects, and it creates new avenues for liquidity, makes things much more fluid.
Interesting.
Furthermore, smart contracts can automate the entire financing process for these projects. This drastically reduces paperwork. It mitigates risk for investors by programmatically ensuring conditions are met.
The automation again.
Yeah, and in turn makes renewable energy projects far more accessible for funding and development. It's really a win-win for expanding green energy infrastructure globally.
Okay, let's ground this with some real-world examples. Here's where these, powerful concepts move from theory to actual practice. Let's start with a true pioneer, the Brooklyn microgrid.
Ah, yes, the Brooklyn microgrid. It's indeed a landmark project. Basically, it allows residents in a defined area of Brooklyn to buy and sell solar power locally directly with each other.
Peer-to-peer solar.
Exactly, all facilitated by blockchain technology. And they've reported some pretty impressive results. Grid efficiency improving by 20%, transaction costs dropping by 30%.
Wow.
It truly serves as a blueprint for how community-powered energy can function. It empowers neighborhoods to manage their own energy flow, almost like a self-sufficient energy island that can still connect to the larger grid when needed.
Very cool. What else?
Then there's Power Ledger out of Australia. Their platform enables consumers and producers to trade renewable energy directly across various markets. It's not just a theoretical concept either.
It's live.
Yeah, a Power Ledger is already live in multiple countries, supporting a wide range of applications from direct solar trading to managing electric vehicle charging networks. It really proves blockchain's global scalability in the energy sector.
That's a great example of global reach.
Yeah.
Another significant player I know of is the Energy Web Foundation.
All right, Energy Web.
This is an open source blockchain platform, which I think is important. Its technology is publicly available, collaborative.
Exactly. It makes it a foundational layer for others to build upon. EnergyWeb helps utilities and grid operators track renewable energy certificates, manage those peer-to-peer trades we discussed, and ultimately optimize overall grid operations.
And it has industry backing, right?
Yeah, what's particularly noteworthy is its backing. It's supported by major energy companies worldwide. That indicates the industry's serious commitment to integrating this technology into their core operations. They see the value.
And on a larger, maybe governmental scale, we have the UAE Blockchain Carbon Trading Platform. This was launched at COP28, showing how nations are embracing this tech to address climate change.
That's right. This government-backed platform is designed specifically to link carbon credits directly to reforestation projects.
Okay.
And it uses blockchain to ensure complete transparency and trust in those carbon markets. It's a really powerful tool for verifiable climate action, ensuring that investments in carbon reduction are legitimate and trackable. Helps combat concerns about greenwashing.
Good point. Any others?
And finally, WePower offers another fascinating use case. They tokenize renewable energy.
Tokenization again.
Yep. Allowing corporations to buy green energy through digital tokens. This means a company can purchase tokens that represent energy from a specific wind farm or solar plant, almost like buying a fractional share of its output.
Which makes the entire procurement process transparent, easily traceable, and much simpler to manage for large corporations looking to meet their sustainability goals.
Exactly. It streamlines what used to be a very complex, often opaque process.
Okay, so the potential is huge, the examples are growing, but it can't all be smooth sailing.
No, definitely not. Despite all this promise, it's important to acknowledge that there are definitely hurdles to navigate. This isn't some magic bullet for every energy challenge.
Right. Like what?
Well, for instance, regulatory hurdles are significant. The energy sector is one of the most heavily regulated industries globally, right?
Absolutely.
The paradox of blockchain in energy is that its decentralized nature often clashes directly with a highly centralized, often monopolistic regulatory structure. The real hurdle isn't just updating laws, it's kind of reinventing the very philosophy of energy governance.
That's a big ask.
It is. Then scalability is another big technical challenge.
Yeah.
The energy grid handles millions, maybe billions of transactions and data points every single day.
Huge volume.
Massive. Ensuring a blockchain can handle that volume securely and quickly without using excessive energy itself is a continuous area of development for the underlying tech.
The energy consumption of blockchain itself is sometimes a criticism, right?
It has been, especially with older proof-of-work systems. Newer systems are much more efficient, but it's still a valid consideration for large-scale deployment.
Okay.
What else? Then there's the human element. Consumer adoption. People need education and, maybe more importantly, trust to embrace these new, often unfamiliar energy trading models.
Yeah, it's different.
It's a big shift from just paying your monthly utility bill, and that requires time and careful onboarding.
Makes sense.
There's also that interesting balance we touched on, privacy versus transparency. While blockchain offers incredible transparency with its open ledgers, businesses and individuals still need a degree of confidentiality.
Right, the balancing act.
Finding that sweet spot where information is visible enough for trust, but private enough for comfort is tricky.
And the cost to set it all up.
And finally, infrastructure costs. Implementing smart meters, all the IoT devices across the entire grid, plus their digital backbone, it requires a substantial upfront investment. That can be a barrier for many regions or utilities.
Okay, so quite a few challenges. But looking beyond those hurdles, what does this all mean for the future? Where are we headed with blockchain and energy over, say, the next few years?
Well, I think we can certainly expect peer-to-peer energy trading to really explode. As smart meters become ubiquitous in homes and businesses, and as renewable energy installations continue to proliferate,
The infrastructure will be there.
Exactly. The infrastructure for direct localized trading will be firmly in place. This will fundamentally shift market dynamics, I believe.
Interesting.
We're also going to see a deeper integration of AI and IoT with blockchain. That combination will further automate and optimize grids. We're moving beyond simple transactions to predictive analysis for demand, highly efficient energy routing, even proactive maintenance.
Smart grids getting even smarter.
You got it.
And building on what we discussed earlier, the growth of tokenized carbon markets seems set to be massive, right?
Absolutely. This will be a crucial tool in helping us meet global climate targets by making carbon offsets more credible, more accessible, and really fostering genuine climate action. We also anticipate the development of decentralized electric vehicle charging networks. These won't just support the rapidly growing EV market, but they'll also contribute to grid stability.
Oh, by managing charging?
Yeah, by intelligently managing charging demand and potentially offering incentives for users to charge during off-peak times, turning EVs into essentially mobile battery storage for the grid.
Pretty equal to grid, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of this is happening with increasing governmental and corporate support worldwide, as you mentioned. Governments are really ramping up their backing for these initiatives.
They are.
Which definitely makes this space one to watch very, very closely.
To sum it all up, I'd say blockchain is no longer just, hype or a buzzword in the energy sector. It's rapidly becoming core infrastructure.
Really embedding itself.
Yeah. The move towards decentralized, transparent, and automated energy systems is increasingly seen as, pretty much an unstoppable force. It's redefining how we generate, distribute, and consume power.
And for communities, businesses, individuals ready to embrace this new paradigm, blockchain offers a clear, powerful path, lower costs, greater resilience against outages, and truly sustainable energy solutions.
That's the promise.
So what do you think? Are you ready to plug into the blockchain energy revolution, or are you still skeptical about its widespread adoption? Something to mull over as you go about your day.